Hello and welcome to Management 333 Business Analytics for Decision Making. My name is Dr. Gruss and I will be the instructor. In this first lecture, I want to start off by defining what we mean by business analytics. And then I just want to very quickly go through some of the important pieces to know about the syllabus in terms of grading and the schedule, and then show you some of the resources that we'll be using for the term, especially MyStatLab, which is an online tool for homework. And then finally, I just want to show you the actual statistics Toolpak that we'll be using. I'm going to show you how to install it in Excel, and that's going to be the tool that we use for most of the calculations this semester. Okay, so first of all, analytics is a fairly new term, although a lot of what it includes is not terribly new. The most general definition, and the one that is has the most consensus, is that it's just the intelligent use of data to drive business decisions. And so it really includes any kind of quantitative methods that are involved in business. And so for our purposes, it's basically going to be applied statistics. So it's specifically applied to the kinds of problems that you would encounter in typical business scenarios. So analytics in general does include more than that. It includes things that you wouldn't normally find in statistics, such as constrained optimization and network topology problems, simulations of queuing analysis. We're not going to be getting into those this semester, but so what we will be concentrating on will be mostly applied statistics. So you've had Stat 200, and so you've learned a lot of the things that you'll see on the schedule may seem familiar. You've used them before, but our emphasis in this term is going to be using them for specific kinds of problems. So the emphasis is going to be on application. Recognizing when these are the appropriate analytical tools to use is not always straightforward, and so having an entire semester, which is really just applications of these things, should be helpful. So, as an example, you learned about hypothesis testing, but in this semester, you're going to be, testing whether or not shipping times have increased. You learned about t-tests, but for our purposes here, you'll be doing a test like, well, do certain products sell when they're displayed in one part of the store versus another? And you learned about ANOVAs, and here we're going to use them to test certain characteristics of competing products. And you also learned about regression. And so we're going to review regression, and we're going to be using it to predict and estimate housing prices. Okay, so in general, we're just trying to make good decisions, and we can, examples of the kinds of decisions I put here on this slide. Very simply, how many people will buy our product? Okay, so we're going to be getting into some fairly deep math in some cases, but it's all going to come back to answering simple questions like these. Which products should we make and how many? What risks should we plan for? Where's the best place to build a factory? We're going to be getting into something toward the end called decision analysis. How many employees should we have? And are we meeting quality standards? Okay, so business analytics is conventionally divided up into these three areas. So descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. And so descriptive analytics is really the kinds of things that you would typically associate with just descriptive statistics, right? This tells you what is currently happening. So this would be descriptive statistics like mean, median, mode, as well as any kind of visualization. So when you're just kind of describing a situation, this is just descriptive analytics. But we get into a new area of sophistication when we go to predictive analytics. And this is where we're trying to use what has happened in the past to predict what will happen in the future. And so in our case, we're going to be doing regression and forecasting. And so this is going to, give us some tools for predictions. And then finally, these methods here in prescriptive analytics really refer to some more sophisticated methods such as simulation and optimization. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get into that in the present term. Hopefully, we'll be able to offer more of that in the future, and certainly in the MBA program. Okay, so we're going to concentrate on descriptives a little bit at the beginning, and then everything else is going to be predictive. Okay. So in general about analytics, the reason why there's been a growing emphasis on it is just that the job market for it is just tremendous right now. You see, I've got a couple of statistics here that there's going to be a shortage of managers and analysts with the skills needed to use all of the data that's available now, because computer storage has gotten cheap, and we've got social media, and we've got sensors. The amount of data that's out there is just growing really fast. And the concern is that we're not going to be able to use this adequately, and there's not enough business people with the skills to be able to do that. So you see by 2020, the total number of jobs for U.S. data professionals will increase by 364,000 to 2.7 million, according to IBM. And most of these are going to require nothing more than a bachelor's degree. Okay, so who's going to be qualified for these jobs? Well, so what do you need to sell yourself as an analytics professional? So there's certainly some math in there, and there is certainly some technology, so programming, and probably the most important piece is business understanding, so business and strategy acumen. So all three of these things are important for doing this kind of analysis. And when you see somebody who is good at like all three of these, they're informally called a unicorn, and that's the area of data science. Okay, it brings all these three together. But I see this course as kind of beginning with people who have a good, strong business background, and then kind of enhancing their mathematical skills so that they can begin to work in this analytical space. Okay, so that's what the objective of the course is really. So what I'd like to do now is to just tell you basically how the course works. It is going to be a completely online course, and most of the materials are going to be available through D2L. I'm going to just take a quick look at the syllabus here to show you what a couple of key pieces are. Okay, so the syllabus is going to be available on the D2L site under course information. We've got a few files there. Just a couple of things I want to emphasize. You can read this. I'm not going to repeat everything that's here. I want to emphasize that even though this is online, you're expected to spend a lot of time each day working on course preparation. This course is notoriously difficult for a lot of students at Davis, and but it's something that you can handle if you just put in the time. Okay, so I put here on the syllabus that think about spending between 2 and 4 hours each day on preparation. Okay. Notice that your grade is going to consist of 4 parts. There are 3 exams. Exam 3 is not cumulative, so there's not a final exam. Exam 1 will cover these chapters, and 2 and 3 and so forth. And then you'll get 100 points for the homework, and I'll explain how you'll be submitting those. Okay, so we've only got 5 weeks to learn material that is typically covered in 15 weeks. So it's going to go pretty quickly. So do plan on spending a lot of time on this. So I put down the schedule. Now these are due dates. Okay, so we aren't actually meeting. So each of these, these rows here refers to a set of due dates when you have to have completed this. If you feel confident, you can complete the course very quickly. But these are guidelines for pacing. All 15 of these assignments, these homework assignments, are already posted and available. So if you want to just burn through them, that's fine, but I would not advise that. Okay, so you see, in most cases, the weeks, I give you a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday deadline. And so for each day, I give you the topic, and you have a reading assignment, and I'll show you where to get that in a minute. And I point you to some lecture slides and a video lecture. Okay, so the video lectures are all going to be right here. You're already watching one, but if you're just in D2L under content here, they're all right here. And so I give you the name, and you can just watch those directly inside the web browser here. Okay, so so for each topic, then, there is going to be at least one, in some cases two, video lectures for you to watch, and also a reading assignment. So in this case, chapter 1, chapter 3, and then a couple of sections in chapter 3, so on. Okay, so what you'll do then is for each of these days, or you can spread it out over a couple of days, you'll have a reading assignment, and you can look over the slides to see what I'm emphasizing. And then also you should watch the video lecture, okay? And only at that point should you go and try the MSL, stands for My Stat Lab. Sometimes students want to go directly to complete the My Stat Lab assignment, thinking that they can just look up whatever they don't know. This is not a really effective strategy, so I would advise you not to do that. So instead, do the reading, watch the lecture, take a look at the lecture slides, and then try the assignment. Okay, so you see we've got 5 weeks, and your first exam is midway through the second week, so that's going to be due on the 29th of May. I'm going to make the exam available 3 days ahead of this deadline. Okay, so notice that you also have an assignment due that day, so do plan ahead. The second exam is going to be on June 10th. Okay, and then finally the last exam, again not cumulative, is going to be due on June 21st. Okay, so one thing I'll point out is because this is an online course, we're required to use the lockdown browser. And if you look at the syllabus under exams, I have some information about that. Also on D2L, I put up under course information, I put a document called Lockdown Browser Instructions, and that just introduces what it is. And so those 3 exams will be served up through D2L, and this shows you how to access them, how to get your computer all set up ahead of time. And I'll give a practice exam just to make sure your whole system is working. But because we want to make sure that you're the one taking the exam and that you're not using unauthorized materials. By the way, there are no unauthorized materials. These are all open book, open note exams. But because it's an online class, you still have to use the lockdown browser. Okay. So let's see. So okay. Yeah, so if you have any more questions about the syllabus, let me know. I'm going to go on to talk a little bit about the only required material, and that's My Stat Lab, which you can buy here. I've also got instructions for how to buy it. Again, if you go to D2L, I've got My Stat Lab instructions here, and you can go to this URL and follow these instructions for registering, having your account. this is the course ID that you'll connect to, and then once you sign in, you'll have access to the course. Okay, and what you'll see when you get there is you'll see this. This is the course. The course home is going to show you any upcoming assignments that you have here. My Stat Lab is going to be where you do your homework, and it is also going to be where you find your textbook. So these reading assignments here that are on the schedule, you'll see that we've got, so due on Monday is Chapter 1. So you can log into My Stat Lab, and then under Chapter Contents, you'll see that you've got the chapter contents. You can click on chapter 1, and any of these links is going to launch this reader. I've already opened it up because it takes a couple seconds to open it up, but it'll drop you onto the page of the textbook. You can buy a paper copy of the book if you want to. It's quite expensive, but the digital copy is fine. And you can just page through. The entire book is here, and those links really just are helpful for dropping you at a particular spot. Okay, so you see chapter 1 looks like yeah, so chapter 1 is still going at page, yeah, I think up to page 20. Yeah, okay, so up to page 28. Okay, so there's your reading assignment, and you know where to find the lectures. Okay, so the other thing that you'll do in My Stat Lab is to do your assignments. So on the main menu here, you can access them with the links on these home pages. So this tells you, things that are coming due. Your first one will be due on Monday, so the first day of class. We're going to get started, right away. As I said, we've only got 5 weeks. You can also get to them just by going to homework. Okay, and the way these work, you'll see these should correspond to the due dates that are on the schedule. They're already open and already available. So you click here, you got each of your questions. You can go into the questions, and so I can see I've got 7 different questions for this assignment. I can just pick an answer at random here. Well, okay, it just so happens that I, out of luck, got that one correct, but I'll just check here, and if it's not correct, it gives you a little hint. Some people think they can get by with these hints. You can't. They're really just reminders. Hopefully by this point you've already watched the lecture and you've already read the chapter contents. Okay, and then finally when you get to the last question, you can submit the assignment, and it shows you what your score is as you go along. I have these set up so that you have 2 tries for each question. Don't guess. That's not a very helpful. That's not going to help you very much. Okay. The reason I give 2 tries is because sometimes things happen where you'll give the right answer, but you put it in 3 decimal places instead of 4 decimal places, and that tends to be the most maddening thing. So do take note of how many decimal places of precision the question is asking for. Okay. So that's okay. So that's how the homeworks are going to work. And again, the homeworks total are worth 100 of the points, and you've got 15 of them. Okay, so definitely you want to concentrate on exam preparation and using the homeworks to prepare for the exam, because the exams are worth a lot more than the homeworks are. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you that we're going to use in the term is the plugin for Excel, where we're going to be doing a lot of our analysis. It comes with Excel. There are instructions for different versions of Excel. If you have a Mac or if you have an older version of Windows, then you'll find some instructions. I've got the instructions. Let's see. Yeah. So here I've got on the syllabus, I've got a link to where you can find some instructions for installing it. But the installation, if you have this newest version of Windows Excel, is to just go to File and Options and Add-ins. Okay, and then down here at the bottom you see it says Excel Add-ins. I'll click on Go, and it is this analysis Toolpak. So I've got it checked right now, so it's already installed. But once you check there, you'll have this data tab. So this is home, and you'll have this data ribbon, which makes a bunch of other stuff available to you. The one that we're going to use mostly is over here, data analysis. So you click on data, come to data analysis, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of different, a lot of different analyses. And by the end of the term, you should know how to use pretty much all of these. All but a few of them are going to be covered in this semester. But just to, something that you might try just to practice is to we've got this very simple data set, with 10 observations, and each of these represents a time. I guess these are hundredths of a minute or hundredths of a second. If we want to just do some basic descriptive statistics of this, we come to data analysis, click on descriptive statistics, and we can select the observations, which are here, and then click there again. And then I'll click on summary statistics. Careful not to forget that. And then I've got right here, okay, it gives me the mean. We don't want to have this many decimal places in most cases, so we'll format this as a number. I'll default to 2. So it tells me, it's got my mean here, the median there, standard deviation, variance, kurtosis, minimum, maximum, and then the sum if we happen to need that, and the count. Okay, so a lot of these things are just straight out of the box, not very hard to compute. The interest of this course is not, for example, figuring out how to manually calculate a variance. What we're going to do with variance is to do things like variance models uncertainty and variance models risks. So what do we do with variance? What do we do with variance? Not necessarily how we go about calculating it. Okay. All right. So that's the Excel part. So install MyStatLab, install the analysis Toolpak, do the reading and the introductory lectures, and that will take care of the work that is required for Monday. Okay, and that I've ordered copies of MyStatLab, so you can get the access card in the bookstore. If you have trouble getting it there, you can always just buy it directly from that website on the instructions. Okay. All right. So I hope this is going to be a great learning experience, and welcome to the course. And please let me know if you have any trouble getting started.